We are taking a gander at Extra Factor 11. And this was great. This was a good issue to read and remind me that I don't have to despise the excellent men. There is more than one run that is good, which is more than most Excellent Men fans believe. Anyway, this was a really brilliant comic, and it is by Louise Simon and Simon Waltonson. They are married. And this is picking up after... This is practically an epilogue to the most recent Excellent Men crossover, of which Extra Factor tied into heavily, Mutie Mascara. The story was a group of evil muties called the Paraders began slaughtering the Morlocks, the homeless muties who live in the sewers. The bulk of the story was told between Uncanny Excellent Men and Extra Factor, but there were also important tie-ins in Powder Puff Pack and Thor, the latter of which being written by Simon Waltonson, so hence the connection. And the Thor issue ends up being probably one of the more important ones in the story. The big and most important thing to come from Mutie Mascara isn't Saberclaw becoming Wolfman's arch nemesis. No, and he fought Cyclops first anyway. The important thing is what happens to Wingman. Wingman is beaten pretty nasty by the Paraders. He is crucified, and his mutie wings are eventually removed, and loads of angst and drama with him, which leads to a significant development with him. Rather than spoil that, here is a reprint cover, because you know me, I love some reprint covers. I think it's nice to have a cover depicting that big central piece of the story. It wasn't actually on any of the covers during the actual storyline. Wingman is one of the starring characters in this series, so it was important to mention him and what has happened to him. Right now we have Smurf and Snowman. They are passing through the sewers. They are ferrying some survivors to their headquarters for care, but they are intercepted by another group of surviving Morlocks. And these Morlocks, they believe that the Excellent Men are the cause of the recent killings, and so they attack them. Really nice action. And elsewhere we also have Cyclops and Phoenix and darling little Artie. They are carrying the mutilated Wingman. Artie gives us a little recap, letting us know how Wingman was injured, and if you missed an issue of Thor, that Thor was the one who got him down and saved him. The best part of the issue, well, the funniest part of the issue, specifically to me, is that even Artie, who cannot speak, he cannot talk with words, but even in his own way, Artie tells Cyclops that Phoenix is a whore. Quickly, I want to say that I love how big Simon Waltonson makes Cyclops' visor. No further comment on that, just wanted it said. The two Excellent Men squads cross paths, and the fight is momentarily broken up. The leader of these four Morlocks is called Berserker, and I chose to read this issue because he reminds me of that character with the weird chest in that Who Is Who I looked at. Berserker is a Morlock. and he first appeared in this issue. This is his first appearance, and it is to the credit of this issue's ability to communicate a lot about the character that I was under the belief that he must have appeared before this. Unfortunately, I can't tell you much about his powers. He is in tune with the electromagnetic spectrum, and he can blast some of that energy. You might have some strength. He has radio signals and things like that. The reason I can't give you a better explanation is that he has never ever had an handybook profile. The 3 other muties that he's with all have, and one of them is god-awful and created just as fodder to die. But Berserker hasn't ever had a profile. But Berserker, he does have a lot of personality. He is angry, he is indignant, he doesn't trust people, but he is tempered quite a bit by his apparent girlfriend, Scaleface. Scaleface is able to transform into a giant dragon, and she first appeared in Extra Factor 11. Don't worry, this gag is done with now. Cyclops convinces this group to come back with them to their headquarters for safety and community. And on this one we have some very important setup for Kalibak's character arc. Kalibak was one of those homeless muties who survived, and he will join Extra Factor full time, but where he ends up as a character is shown here before he even joined Extra Factor. They all get back to Extra Factor's headquarters, and Berserker wastes no time in complaining and wanting to leave and being distrustful. He can pick up all these signals from the airwaves, news reports and such, that are filled with anti-mutie hysteria, that paint Extra Factor in a negative light. And then there's also the whole subterfuge going on with Extra Factor pretending to be mutie hunters. When Extra Factor began, they used the cover of being mutie police, that they would come in and deal with muties, that they would hunt down muties, but it was a cover to actually locate and protect the muties. They had different costumes, and it wasn't the smartest idea, and it does come back to bite them in the arse a lot, including here, obviously. The quartet leave first chance they get when Cyclops and crew go to the hospital with Wingman. We also meet 2 random policemen here. They are stationed outside Extra Factor headquarters to monitor any coming and goings, any people coming in or out. And the pair are a pretty stock formula. We have one who is open and accepting to the idea of muties, and one who is older and jaded and thinks that they are all freaks that will kill them. Berserker and his pals, they run afoul of the local street gang who want to murder them when they realise they are muties. And so Blowhard is slain below odds, the worst character of this selection. His muty power was he had a Popeye-style pipe that he could blow force out of. Fucking dreadful. A big fight breaks out with Berserker, Scaleface and Masque taking it out on these stupid humans. As this is going down, the Excellent Men, Cyclops and Phoenix rather, they leave the hospital to deal with the rampaging muties. Before we get to that confrontation, we have an important subplot page setting up extra factors for of the muties arc. The big Armageddon story that won't actually happen until about a year later. I don't know how much I want to say about this because it's the sort of thing I feel I am tired of saying. This is so much better than Christopher Clairvoyant and his plotting. This is planning, actual planning. This is some setup with some intended payoff. This is how you do subplots like this. It's not do 30 of these bits and then maybe get back to 2 of them if you remember them. It's not set up and then pay off maybe. And if not, then you can blame Shooter or Aris for ruining all the master plans of the master planner. And it's not even that this is immediately paid off either. It's actually quite far in advance of the plot itself. It's very neatly woven into these earlier issues and then picked up on within a reasonable amount of time where both reader and writer have not forgotten about them. So here is a big battle between the 2 Excellent Men and the 3 wayward muty rebels. The 2 police from before, they are also on the beat and they are responsible for shooting Scaleface, who was attacking them, and Scaleface dies, which angers Berserker even more. Scaleface does have a notable appearance after this. She is revived, briefly, in an issue of She-Hulk's. We say She-Hulk's fighter. And if you're thinking to yourself, she has another appearance after that too. Hold your horses. Next, Berserker is prepared to kill everyone, having lost his lover, which forces Cyclops and Cyclops has to eliminate the threat permanently. Berserker is he hits the water, and this causes a chain reaction with his energies, and he is obliterated. He is dead. He does appear in another story, however. In the 2009-2010 crossover, Necrotia, he is resurrected alongside 5 dozen other dead Excellent Men enemies. As is Scaleface, there they are on a cover. Berserker is even given the smallest bit of characterization. He says that he wants Cyclops to himself. He wants revenge on Cyclops. Scaleface fights Wolf's Girl and her Fairyland Wolf lover. Off panel, they both are returned to the grave with everyone else at the end of that story. The best bit of the issue is probably Cyclops' guilt over this, over everything that has happened. He blames himself for all of it. Cyclops is filled with so much regret and misery. Where's Emma Frosty's when you need her to help unburden him and give him an actually supportive lover? Lastly, we have some setup for the next issue. Time Bomb is working as a street thief and pickpocket for Vanquisher. Vanquisher has a gang of teen runaways under his tutelage, and this eventually ties in with Fallen Angles a lot. But first, we explore it here and deal with Time Bomb and bring her into the Extra Factor title in issue 12, the next issue. I enjoyed this a lot. Great art, great story, great characters, except for Phoenix. I think Berserker is quite impressively handled when it comes to one-time characters. He gets a lot of meat on his bones out of a single issue. Blowhard, on the other hand, he blows hard. Blowhard is the sort of excellent main character, or character in general, I hate. Something completely rubbish that was created for no reason except to be killed off. At least Berserker and Scaleface had exciting powers, or little bits of characterization. Blowhard was probably getting blown hard by Phoenix between the panels. That's what she's like. Horrid woman. Vile creature. Burn it at the stake. I'm in the mood for some steak now. 7 thumbs up.